Hi there, I am Matt with K15T, and you are joining us live as we are talking about using Confluence and Jira together. Because just like with people, those two products just work better together. It is so nice to have you here. And as I mentioned, we are live. And that's really important because not only will you get to see me, do something very silly off the cuff, as I tend to do, but also that means you can jump into the live chat and ask questions, say fun things, say hi to everybody. That's why we're live, so that we can explore these things together. So if you are in the live chat and you have a question, please throw that in there with the hashtag question. Just say, hashtag or #, whatever you call it, question. With your question, that will help our friend Mixmaster Stefan, who is over here rocking on in the chat, helping us make sure that we get all your questions out. So please throw those in there with hashtag question. Also, please hit that like button if you would. That tells YouTube that we have something cool happening. Also, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would also tell YouTube we have something cool happening, and we do have something cool happening. For example, every day of December leading up to the 25th, we are releasing a new fun Confluence short with friends, Confluence PMs that we've had on the live stream in the past. We also will have a really cool New Year's special that will be coming out in the beginning of the year. January 7th, I believe, is the plan. So please subscribe to YouTube. Also, we have a weekly Confluence newsletter. Goes out every week, and it's full of Confluence best practices, Confluence news, our opinions on that news, which is great because we have pretty solid opinions. So if you wouldn't mind, that link got dropped in the chat. Sign up for our newsletter. It's pretty fantastic. Also, at the end of this, you can go to the Atlassian community and share what you've learned during this session, and you will get a badge, a special badge only available for those people that are joining this live learning session right now, this community-led session. So jump on to that community article, and at the end, share what you learned, get a badge. It's good stuff. Now, friends, I am not alone, and I don't mean Stefan, although, we're never alone, right? Stefan's always there watching the live chat. No, I have a guest here with me. I want to welcome to the live stream David Olive, PM for Confluence Integrations. Hey, David, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, happy to be here. Very excited to talk about Jira and Confluence, and honestly, just happy to be on this live stream. Pretty cool thing.
It's pretty fantastic to have you here, David. So Jira and Confluence integrations are a huge part of my job, and probably a lot of people's jobs who are on this live stream. I remember starting at a software company, working with a software team, and they were using this thing called Jira, and we were losing information. And so then I brought in this thing called Confluence, and the rest is history. But having the two work together is really important. And also, I think there's a lot of ways that the two products work together that people don't really know about. So I think it's cool that we're going to really look into that deeply today, because I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, exactly, Matt. Jira alone is great. Confluence alone is great. And I think our team over the past couple of years has really been trying to build that glue that makes them work multiplicatively even better together. So that's really what we're looking to do, and happy to talk about some of the stuff we've been working on.
Fantastic. I do love me some good product glue. Good morning, everyone from Cincinnati, Bulgaria, Detroit, LA. Am I being too quiet? Do I need to? Here, let me increase my volume right here. There we are, y'all. I've increased it. Thank you, Stefan. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me a little bit better. Levels were looking a little low there. I might have fat fingered my volume level. Sorry, everybody. Should be a bit louder now. Better. Good morning from Pennsylvania, Victoria. Pennsylvania's pretty great. Come on. All right. Let's look at some Confluence and Jira goodness. Let's get into the glue, as David has said. So David, I would love it if you could show us a little bit about how do we connect Confluence and Jira in the first place, because I believe there is some work to be done there to make sure we're getting the right Jira in the right Confluence. So show us more.
Sure, for sure. Honestly, there's a bunch of different ways, but I think probably one way I'd love to start showing off is really from the Jira side. How can we connect a Confluence space to Jira? That's
Okay.
one feature that we have inside of Jira. So uh, just to confirm, is my screen sharing?
Your screen is sharing. We're seeing the PD Sprint 1 board.
Awesome, awesome. So, for example, here we have a Jira. This is your company Jira. Every Jira project has something called project pages. And if we click into project pages, right now, this is the default state that most Jira projects have for project pages. No, basically, Confluence space connected. Inside project pages, this is an area where if we connect a Confluence, we can see a bunch of the Confluence documents, resources from a space that we connect right within Jira. So for example, if I clicked connect to Confluence on this page here, and we collect a space, so I've created a space, I believe is called something something demo. So we have a project demo space inside Confluence, and we can connect that space. Or you can create a new one if you don't have one already, or if this is for a new team. So we can connect it here, and we'll give it a second. And then we can see basically everything that's inside that Confluence space. So we have the overview and we have a bunch of other different notes. So this basically lets you see your Confluence and also make new pages and open up pages right inside of Jira without having to switch over to Confluence. So you're saving a lot of context switching between product to product. You don't have to switch tabs. You can do all your work right inside of Jira. You can even create new pages right inside of Jira. So if your main workflow is inside of Jira, this will save you a lot of time. And also, it's just a central place for your team to kind of see what is the wiki for the team, especially if they're working from Jira. So this is probably the first best place and very simple, quick, and easy way to start connecting Confluence and Jira.
Okay, this is awesome. And I'm curious, can I connect multiple Confluences to a single Jira project? Or
Great
Confluence
question.
Spaces, I
Great
should say?
question. Yeah, at the moment, it only supports one connection, so you can connect one space to one Jira. So the way we kind of work at Atlassian is each project has its own Jira project and its own Confluence space. So you kind of connect those one to one, and then that's how we do that connection. So if you did want to change, you could change it up here, but it's just one space to one project.
Okay, all right. So I feel like that totally makes sense to me. Having been a project manager in the past and a scrum master in the past, that totally tracks. But I would say, like, for those of you in the audience who, you know, if you're, especially if you're working a Jira project that's maybe really massive or for a massive project internally, you're going to have the opportunity to connect just one Confluence space. So like make that one count, you know, maybe if you have two important spaces, consolidate them or link between them, but you're only going to be connecting one to your Jira project. So that's probably a good thing to know.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah, I know in some larger projects, what some people have done is we connect one space, but within the space, we have different folders if you have smaller divisions or teams
Okay.
within that one space, if it is of that scale.
That's
and
a
then you can
fantastic.
kind of organize that way.
Okay. And Christian in the chat wants to know, can you connect multiple Jira projects to a single Confluence space?
Great question. I actually don't know the answer to that one off the top of my head. I would instinctually think yes, but we can double check here if I open up another project.
Good
that I
question,
have.
Christian. I love it when we have to test things live. That's like such a good feeling.
Keeping me on the ball here.
I like seeing you like have to sweat just a little bit, David. Just to make sure, you know, it's like, yeah, let's push him to his limits. Let's make sure that he truly has that expertise.
Yeah, so you can connect multiple Jira projects to the same space. That was my understanding, but I just wanted to double check. So
All right.
it can be multiple Jira projects to one. Yeah.
That's why y'all need to be active in the live chat, because we are literally all learning together. I kind of, I don't know. There's something about me that loves that, about exploring anything, not just Confluence, where you're like, I know everything about this, and then somebody's like, what about this thing? And you're like, that is a good question. Let's poke that and find out.
Exactly.
All right. And Christian, I think that answers your second question about having, like, if you have a space that has your technical documentation and you want to connect it to multiple Jira projects, you can do that. So you can have, dev projects for different products and connect them to a single Confluence space that has all of the documentation if you want to. We have a question on where can you go to create a space, but I'm wondering if we should hold that until we're looking at the Confluence side of things. What are your thoughts there, David?
Yeah, great question. I think once we get into the Confluence pages and I start showing some of the integrations from the Confluence side to Jira, we can take a look at making a space as well.
Cool. We will come back to your question, Trish. All right, David, what's the next step in the glue? Let's get deeper into this integration.
Yeah, I think the next best step is to start looking at the places where you start doing your work every day inside of Jira, and how we're actually going to start linking Confluence in some of those spaces. So we're going to start looking at like the Jira issue view when you're working on issues, like how do we start linking content there, and what can we do actually in the issue view inside of Jira, because that's probably where a lot of people spend a lot of their time inside of Jira.
I know it well. As a Scrum Master, I've cried tears in front of that screen, not because of that screen, maybe a little. Yeah, let's take a look.
Exactly. So yeah, let's just open up an issue and start working on one. Let's see here. So just got a demo issue here, for example, very limited on the details. So let's say, for example, for this issue, we wanted to have we wanted to create a Confluence page for it. So we're starting to, spec it out a little bit, and we're doing some, more detailed documentation, and we need like a Confluence page for this. What we can do inside of an issue view is we can click add, and then we have some options for Confluence pages. So there's two options for Confluence pages. You can add, or I would say link an existing Confluence page, or you can add a new Confluence page or new Confluence whiteboard. So let's go down the new route first. So let's say nothing already exists for this. So if we click new Confluence page, this actually will open a modal directly inside of Jira, which is basically the Confluence editor. And you could start editing a page live here. So if we call this page spec details for issue, and say, for example, put some details in here, you can't open it in Confluence, but you can actually do all the work you need right here inside of Jira. So you never have to switch over to Confluence. You could stay on the same tab. And we're actually introducing, and this is in an experiment right now, but we're introducing some other ideas for how to do this modal. So instead of actually coming up and covering the whole screen, it actually comes up on the side. So you kind of get like a split screen between Confluence, and you get the Jira issue, so you can see all the issue details, and you can work on the Confluence space. So all of that right inside of Jira, but that's just a little sneak peek for some stuff to come.
Okay, when you say that's an experiment, does that mean like just randomly some of us might see that experience, or is it like in early access? Like what does that mean? Tell us everything.
Great question. So yeah, so it's in an experiment right now. So some people in the call may randomly see it. So we're just doing it our due diligence with a smaller set of users, making sure everything's okay, getting some feedback. But yeah, it's in an experiment right now. We're going to let it soak for a little bit and see what we can improve on. But we may be seeing that in the coming months out to all users. So very exciting stuff.
This is, if you have never experienced this, those of you in the audience, this is something it's done when you're building products on a platform like Atlassian's platform. You get to, you do a lot of research up ahead, you figure out what might work, and then you might have one or two or three different ways to do it. And so folks like David and other product managers will say, okay, we're going to roll this out to a few teams, gather some stats, see what works, so that they're not just making decisions based on just their gut or what they think looks good, but actually like what truly works best for you. So some of you might be like, wait a minute, David's sneaking different experiences into my Jira Confluence integrations? Yes, but for your own good. You know, it's kind of like when you put medicine in the kid's baby, like the applesauce, right? Same thing.
Exactly.
Take your medicine,
Except this medicine tastes good, so
oh yeah,
everyone's gonna like this one. Yeah.
All right, we're going from a glue analogy to a tasty medicine analogy. Like,
yeah, we're all over. Yeah.
Yeah, none of this is endorsed by a Confluence product marketing manager. Just so everybody knows, none of.
That's true.
Yeah, we got some great slogans though. All right, let's talk some more about the medicine then.
For sure. Yeah, but let's say you do all your work here, you put in the details you need, and we can click publish here. And we're going to see some options. So you're going to see the location is already pre-filled, and that is pre-filled because we actually do have the project demo space connected to this Jira. So because of that connection, we have to save a little bit of time, as in this integration already knows where this project page should actually live. So this kind of helps prevent some of your team members starting to put pages in random places like their own personal spaces, etc. if you want all of the related documentation to actually be inside the correct space. So you can also edit it, you can put in a specific folder, etc., but it just kind of preloads to kind of help with actually showing to the proper people.
Yeah,
so if we publish it, we're gonna give it a second here, and it's gonna be published. So now we can see the published page, and we can close it here. And you're gonna see, actually, we have a section on issues called Confluence content. And because we just created a page from Jira, it's now linked to this Jira issue. So inside Confluence content, everyone who comes to this issue is going to see this page here. So it's not just going to show up as a random link in the description, but we actually have a dedicated section called Confluence content where people can see it, click it, actually open it up inside Confluence. So that really is a connection that helps people see what's going on there. And then obviously
I have a question from Pam that I think is a great one, which is to be able to do this, to view linked pages, to create pages, do I need to have a Confluence license as well?
Yes. Great question. So for all the Jira to Confluence integrations, you will need to have, both a Confluence and Jira license. So you're going to see on the Confluence side, if we have bringing over Jira data in there, whoever is viewing there needs to have the Jira license as well. So we're kind of respecting the view permissions, and that does involve the license as well.
That totally tracks. And yeah, that's really important when it comes to information security as well. So that's also going to be respected, right? If I have a Confluence license, but there's a linked piece of content that I should not be able to see, I won't be able to. And that's good. That's a good thing.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not accidentally sharing highly confidential documents. So we're respecting the permissions.
That's such an amazing quote for an admin to hear. I kind of want that on a t-shirt that I send out for the holidays. Like, hey, everybody, David said they're not accidentally sharing information that people shouldn't see. Rest well tonight. Rest well. There's one other question, David, which is this the ability to view pages like this in Confluence and edit them? Is that also available, or will it be available in Confluence Jira Data Center?
Great question. So I've been working mainly on the cloud side, so I don't actually know the data center equivalent off the top of my head. So that's definitely something I could take back and check in with the data center team. But off the top of my head, I don't know. And unfortunately, I don't actually have a data center demo to pull it up and check.
Right. As far as I know, with my experience with Confluence Data Center and Jira Data Center, which I have a lot, but it's been a minute, that ability to link things does exist, at least link Confluence pages, but the viewing and editing, that part does not exist right now, Gerald. Whether it's coming in the future, we don't know currently, but yeah, it would be fantastic to find that out. Fantastic. All right. Those are all of our questions so far. Hi to everyone else who's joined, by the way, oh my gosh, so many fun places. All right, David, continue, please.
For sure. So the other way we can link content here is without having to create a new page, we can just link existing Confluence content. So you'll get this little search bar and you'll see a bunch of the items inside the project demo space because that's the space we have connected. So for example, we have, for say, these meeting notes that are maybe relevant to this issue. So we can also just see those directly from Confluence and we can link that. And then now that's also going to be linked to the space. So you can also do this with whiteboards if you have any whiteboards, which is another great thing. So say, for example, you have some technical drawings or you have some brainstorming notes for an issue, you can link a whiteboard here as well. So that's the main way we link content here. And some other experiences we're looking to introduce is instead of having to do this manual linking, a lot of times when people write the description, they put in links to Confluence pages. So we're looking into actually when you save the description and you've put in Confluence pages there that you think are important, then we might actually look into kind of auto linking that into the Confluence content section just to save you that time to have to manually link stuff. So it will be there in the description. We're calling it out in Confluence content. So any Confluence content that you think is important, we're going to make sure that everyone else on your team is also seeing it.
Oh, that is music to my ears, especially like for teams that, you know, if you're working in a team where maybe you've created your product requirements in Confluence, which I'm sure we'll look at a case like that in a minute, but like often we're doing that brainstorming work in a whiteboard and then maybe move to a Confluence page. But then at some point it's like, well, I've already written it in Confluence. I want it to live in Confluence. So like, I don't want to copy and paste that into the issue because then if we update one, will the other be updated? Generally, no. The answer is no. So having that just like intelligently see like, oh yeah, dropped a link in there. Right on. Cool. We'll link that up. That sounds fantastic to me. We have a question. This is an interesting one from Amit, which is, can you add a Jira timeline in Confluence? I feel like you can. I don't know if we want to look at that later. That's a good question though.
Yeah, I think we can look at that. I wanted to kind of talk about like some of the smart links that we have in terms of time log, timeline backlog board. So a lot of like how we can bring those views into Confluence. So I have a whole section on that I'd like to talk about and dive
Take that thought and hold it. I mean, we will be back. We will be back to it. We have another question. Can you create that Confluence project, or could you create a new project space in Confluence automatically when a Jira project is created? Is that possible?
That's from Leonardo, by the way. Great question. So at the moment, we do not have that, but that is a little sneak peek for something we're working on in the future. So that is something we're looking into. Great question, but we're looking into that. How can we actually help make that easy when you create a Jira project and you want a space to go along with it? How can we kind of automate that and link that automatically to make that easy for Jira admins and people who are setting up teams?
I love that. Again, like I have created so many Jira projects and it's like, okay, I'm going to go manually create the Confluence space. This would be really great, especially with, you know, if I have a Confluence space that I want certain templates to be put in, et cetera, certain automations to be set up in, certain whiteboards. The sky is the limit. The team is thinking of us, y'all. Thank you, Leonardo. That's a great question. By the way, y'all, if you have not liked the live stream, please do that. That helps YouTube know what's going on. So please like that and maybe even hit that subscribe button if you want some more great content, because we're putting out new videos every day this month. David, please continue as we journey deeper into this integration.
For sure. So we've talked a little bit about linking Confluence content inside of Jira. So we've connected, a space inside the issue. We're connecting documentation as well. I'd like to kind of like swap it over to the Confluence side. How can we go from Confluence and actually link that to Jira? So Jira issues, or how can we take Confluence pages and also convert that to Jira issues? Because that's a lot of the workflow that we have happening. So, for example, we have meeting notes, or we have tables, or we have lists of action items, and we need to convert that to Jira for the proper tracking. So how can we go about that, or how can we just see information from Jira inside of Confluence? So I do have Confluence space. So this is the Confluence space that's connected. It's the project demo space.
Beautiful.
And we have, for example, meeting notes. But I'm just going to create a new page, dismiss. So a bunch of different great options there. Let's call this issue tracking. So for this page, let's say, for example, we want to track some stuff. So the first thing we can look at is, let me dismiss that. So let's say, for example, this issue mobile bug. We want to actually, this is a very important issue, and we need people inside Confluence to have eyes on this as well. And we want them to see the progress of the issue just to let them know, like, say, for example, we have marketing or legal or somebody else who needs to know the status of this ticket so that they can continue on with their workflows as well. And they work maybe in Confluence, for example, for the most part. So if we take that issue, we can actually paste it into a Confluence page, and we get something called a smart link. So there's a few different views for the
Love
smart
those.
link. So if you click onto the smart link, there's a few different views. So there's the inline view, which is limited amount of information. It's basically kind of like a link, but just it looks a lot nicer. And then we have a card view, which has a little bit more information, takes up a little bit more space. So you can see some things about like the priority, like what's the current status, et cetera, like that, without having to actually click on it and go to Jira. And then the final view is the embed view. And this view is a fully interactive issue view right inside of Confluence. So if you have an important issue, you can link this, and then people will be able to see all of the issue view action items, UI buttons. They can leave comments as well. Oh, sorry, I just went back by accident. But basically, they can do a bunch of Jira issue work right inside of Confluence without having to move to Jira as well. So that's one great thing with smart links. There's a bunch of other smart links I would also like to showcase, which I believe are even more powerful. And this is a lot to do with the different views we have inside of Jira. So we have a few different views. Someone mentioned the timeline. We have the backlog. We have the board. So a lot of these views are around like team planning, capacity planning, reviews with stakeholders on what the team is doing, just project planning in general. And a lot of that is not just the view, but it's also other content, other notes that needs to be written inside of Confluence. So instead of actually just taking like a static screenshot of this page, we can actually utilize smart links as well. That's something the integrations team has built out, is smart link support for a lot of these views. So if we take, for example, the backlog view, a lot of teams spend a lot of time in the backlog view. If we take that link at the top and we go into a page, I actually have a page here, which we can edit. So if you just paste in that link, I will delete some of the stuff in this page.
It's always fun when you demo and you're like, oh my gosh, I filled this completely.
Yes. So if we take that backlog page and we paste the link inside of Confluence, this is something we built out recently. You're gonna see we actually do have an embed view for it. So the embed view is basically that entire backlog you can showcase inside of a Confluence page, and you can do all of the issues. You can create issues, you can move them around. So this is great for if you're just reporting on like what your team is doing, or if you're working through a ritual that has a bunch of other steps, but also the backlog step, you can use a dedicated kind of Confluence page and almost even like template for that.
All right, and
so it's not just the
that
backlog.
Should answer your question on the timeline, right?
Yes, let's look at the timeline. I believe we also have timeline embed support. So you could take a timeline and then you can paste it in here, and you could see the entire timeline right inside of Confluence as well. So I've used this internally with different teams. I've had project managers and program managers who have taken the timeline, and we've taken it and talked about it in our weekly rituals and syncs. Is everything on track? And we just take a look at the timeline, which kind of updates as the engineers and as other team members work inside of Jira. So it's really great just for general planning there.
Oh, I love this so much. Smart links are fantastic. And I feel like there continue to be more and more that are dropped in. But smart links are not the only option that we have for bringing Jira and Confluence together. What else do we have on the Confluence side, David?
Great question. Great question. So I think one exciting thing I wanted to talk about a little bit more is how do we create issues, like Jira issues from Confluence content? So say, for example, we've had a meeting. We've taken meeting notes and we're talking about a project. Say, for example, it's like a weekly sync and we have a bunch of notes and there's some things that need to be done. And we've taken notes about that, but we need the relevant Jira issues, for example. We have a few different features for actually helping you do this, and very exciting stuff. Recently launched. Some of them actually do involve some AI creation. So I kind of want to showcase that a little bit. Yeah. So the first one we have is called single issue create. This is for creating a single issue. And the way you do this is you go to any Confluence page and you highlight what you want to create an issue from. So say, for example, we have this line, we need some marketing assets before the launch and has some details. We can create a Jira issue. And when we do this, AI is going to help us out a little bit. So what it's actually going to do is from what we've highlighted, it's going to, we're linked to the project demo. We have the story type. You can set the status and everything. But the really cool part about the AI, and this is especially helpful for longer and longer items that have a lot more detail, is it's kind of created the summary for us with the use of AI. It's filled out the description. This is all stuff you can do manually as well if you want to edit it. But it just helps save us time in filling out the summary description, where we need to make it from. We don't even need to open up Jira. And you can assign it to whoever you want right away. You can add the labels, team, etc., all the classic Jira stuff right here inside of Confluence. And then you can just click create. And then we've created the ticket. And it's going to be inside of our issues here. So yeah, in our backlog, we should see it. And you can see it there. Yeah, we have the create marketing assets for launch that we just created automatically. And that was in the matter of 1 or 2 seconds, to be honest, from meeting notes.
Wunderbar. So that feature, that ability to select something in Confluence and create a Jira issue from it was, for me in my, 8 or 9 years ago in my first job where I was working with Jira, that was the feature in Confluence that was like, right? Which you can still do that today with any Confluence. The AI features, so work with Atlassian Intelligence, you're going to see that available if you have Confluence Premium or Confluence Enterprise. Is that right, David?
That is correct. That is correct. It's Confluence Premium Plus and above, I believe, that gets access to AI features. But even without the AI, we did make some great improvements, just the general usability, UI, UX of that feature. So overall, a bunch of great stuff. One thing I did want to call out in terms of whiteboards, I know a lot of people love whiteboards, love doing their brainstorming on whiteboards. So that feature is not only restricted to Confluence pages, you can actually do it inside of whiteboards. So if we have, for example, a note here, we can also create Jira issues directly from that note as well. So it's not just inside of Confluence. You can do it inside of almost any content type inside of Confluence, pages, whiteboards, etc.
Which I love because like we're just working in those things. It should just be that way. We should be able to very quickly jump from Confluence to Jira back without having even to jump. It's just right there. We do have some questions on this, David.
For sure. For sure.
One is, well, actually, this is a question about what you were showing before with the smart links. Can you link to a burn down chart? So the Scrum charts that are in Jira, are there shareable links for those?
Great question. Great question. I believe, so there's a couple different types of charts. So yeah, we have these reports inside of Jira, and then we also have like the dashboard side as well. So for the reports at the moment, I do not believe we have smart link support for them. Let me just double check. But
that's what these tests are for.
We've built out. Yeah, the support we build out at the moment is mainly for like the dashboard side, and I could talk about that in a little bit as well.
Right.
But let's just double check for this one.
Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, as I was just refreshing my memory, but yeah. So the reports inside of Jira, we do not have support for smart links at the moment, but our team is always building out more integration support. So this is something that is definitely on our radar for areas to build out more smart link support. So the more customer advocacy we hear for it, the more likely we are to build it out.
fantastic. Great question, Drew. I also have a question from someone who has created a bunch of Jira issues and Confluence pages that should be associated. They have the same, page title and Jira issue summary, description, title, whatever that field is. They're not linked. Is there a way to like quickly link a whole bunch of them at the same time? Is that possible, or do you need to do it like one by one?
Great question. Great question. I don't think we have a way at the moment to link multiple pages to multiple different Jira issues based on like a certain criteria, for example, like based on looking at the title of the page, etc. So we don't have that at the moment. That's a great idea. At the moment, we've just been looking at individual Jira issues to individual Confluence pages. So that's actually a great idea. I can definitely take back to the team for sure.
I have this feeling that you can add Jira issue links to Confluence pages using automation, Confluence automation, if you have premium or enterprise. So potentially you could create an automation that looks for pages and then looks for issues that have the same title and insert those links that way, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, the whole automation route is a whole nother can of things that you could do. It's just a lot of unlimited potential there. So definitely probably some options there.
It's incredibly powerful stuff. Check out our channel. We have 2 different live streams where we have looked deeply into automations, as well as an automations best practice video that you can check out. Avi and the automation team are constantly rolling features out, and there's another team that's working on automations on the Jira side as well. So like the power of the automation part of the platform like continues to increase. So Martin, that might be a solution for you, especially if that's something that's happening often, that you're creating those pages that should be associated or vice versa. That might be a reason to use automation, which again is part of Confluence Premium. So that might be the solution that you're looking for. One other question before we move on. Remy is curious. Can you, when you're doing the Jira issue create, does this support Jira custom fields?
Great question. Great question. We can just double check. Let's see if we can
Love
add
that.
a custom field here. I believe it can. Let me double check in meeting notes. Oh yeah, and when you create an issue, it does paste in a link into a Confluence page, so you can just delete that if you don't want it, or if you like to leave it and just check off, and the next time you sync, you can just say, yeah, here's the link to the issue.
Love that. Right, and if you have the card view of that link or of that issue, you can even interact with it a bit right there with the card view. I think you can change the status at least. Yeah. Always a good feeling when you're in a meeting and you mark a Jira issue as closed without even going to Jira. Like, come on. That's a boss move right there.
I am going to remove this for now so we can just take a look from the original flow.
And drum roll, please, everyone. Oh, I can't hear the drum roll. That's a bummer.
Oh, that's a bummer.
I assume it's happening at people's desks at home or in the office. I hope you're bothering your coworkers right now.
Yeah, I believe you will be able to see all custom fields here in the project you're trying to create it, but I don't think I have any custom fields set up at the moment, so I can actually double check.
Yeah, might be something for you to try at home or at work. And yeah, my recollection is it also supports custom fields, although I feel like there's like one type of custom field that like wasn't supported, but it was a very loosely used field. I cannot remember. It's been a hot minute. Yeah. And I think it also would be interesting to know and probably y'all are going to need to test it a bit. How does the AI issue creation work with custom fields? I think that would be really, I'd be curious to see how that works.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this feature just went out. The AI issue crate just went out to GA like last week. So very early version of it, very powerful as is, but the team is already looking to work on future improvements and we're lining that up for next quarter. So this feature is just going to get more powerful as time goes on.
Love it. I hope for all of us on this live stream that we are getting more powerful over time.
Exactly.
All right.
One other thing I did want to just showcase real quick. That was single issue create. I did want to showcase the other feature that rolled out, which is bulk issue create. So if we're on a page, this one just rolled out recently. We're going to see this option down here, which is related to Confluence AI. But if we click on this, or if we click on this one and then click Jira Create Issues, this is actually going to take a look at the entire page and look at what are the multiple different issues that can be created from this page instead of you having to go manually and highlighting them. So we're going to take a look. So this is going to create Jira issues and it's going to show us what it thinks are the Jira issues that should be created from this page. So we could see we have this page and it has not just very clear notes, but just general comments. So for example, someone said overall the project is on track, and then we have a few things that we need to do. And we can see from this page, we actually have, it's come out with the 3 issues it thinks should be created. So it's talking about the marketing approval that someone commented on, the legal approval, the login issues, and then you can actually go in, you can approve these, or you can actually go in and edit the details some more, and then you can create all. So really kind of streamlining and helping that quick flow. So we do have a non-AI version of bulk issue create as well to deal with tables more specifically that have kind of a better structure, but with AI, it kind of takes out that requirement of having that structure. So another way to create issues as well.
Oh my, again, as a Scrum Master, I can't tell you how much time, like, I mean, even the support for table, a table version of this, but like the AI powered one, especially, like the amount of time I spent doing this task, and many of you as well, no matter what type of team you're working on. If you're on a marketing team and you have an entire document of like, okay, here is this campaign plan that we have, we've got it ready to go. Now we want to plan the work. Set this AI, grab Atlassian Intelligence, have it do the work. It's going to create Jira issues for you. Like, that is so amazing. Just like these are the use cases you want to think about when your team is trying to decide, hey, should we have Confluence Premium or, is Confluence Basic, whatever? Is that what we want? That's what having a virtual teammate looks like for doing heavy lifting stuff like that. So think about those types of jobs when you're thinking about that. And again, with automation, it's another thing. Think about the time save, the work that nobody likes doing, that AI is like perfect for. It's absolutely perfect for doing that sort of magical stuff. Oh, where was this 10 years ago, David? Where was this?
Exactly.
Now, David, before we go on, we are 45 minutes in, which means it's snack time, y'all. That's just how we run the live stream at this point. 45 minutes in is like, we're doing great. Nothing has, we haven't broken anything. It's time for a snack. I myself have a little Santa Claus here, complete with bell. Pretty awesome. I'm going to like chomp this a little bit. If y'all have a snack at home, time to break it out because we're learning, we're having fun, blah, blah, blah. David does not have a snack. Yeah, David is locked in a room with nothing but water, and he doesn't get a snack until he is done with this live stream, unfortunately.
Yeah, no snack.
Oh, Stefan, do you want some of my Santa, Stefan? Oh, wow. Okay, I guess I'm the only one who has a snack. You always start with Santa's head, which I think is really, what is that teaching people, that that's the first part that you bite? I don't know. Okay, before we move on, really important question for you, David. When you're using Atlassian Intelligence and you're waiting for it to do that bulk Jira, issue creation, and there's that little few seconds where it's like loading and you have the little animation. If that were to make a sound, what sound do you think it should make to tell you that it's working on something?
That's a great question. I think instinctively, I think back to there's this movie called like Spaceballs that came out
Oh.
quite a few years ago, but they had a lot of interesting sounds in that movie. So something kind of, I would say, like sci-fi, but a little bit entertaining. So, while it's happening, it's somewhere between elevator music and like clown music, somewhere in between there, just so that you're kind of entertained those couple seconds that
I
you're
love
playing.
I love your view of like the future. It's like somewhere between
Yeah.
the really boring stuff in elevators and just straight up clown. Which
Yes.
I'm seeing two people suggesting the Jeopardy theme song. I think that's very appropriate,
Oh,
although
that's very good. That's very
licensing
good.
costs. For me, I would say my parents, when I was growing up, my parents really loved Star Trek Next Generation, and those computers had the coolest UI, right? They had touch screens. I'm like, oh my God, you can touch it. But the sounds they made were just very like ooh ah ooh, and like the computer voice was also very pleasant. But I feel like it'd be one of those like doobly doops that you hear, Data's over there on the console doing his thing. I think. Oh, somebody voted for the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme. Wouldn't it be great if there was a feature where you could set your own sound, your own, just like anytime there's any loading in
I'm
Confluence
taking
or
that
Jira.
back to the team. I'm
Oh
taking
my
that idea
gosh,
back.
that
Yeah.
would be. Let us link it to Spotify. Like have a whole playlist of things to play when like what's that oh okay, I could think of so many good songs that would just be like absolutely snap. Yeah, Lance says get on that, David. Would you please?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Back to it. David, please show us some more. And everyone, please enjoy your snacks. Everyone but David and Stefan. You don't get any.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think another couple places where we have some pretty strong integrations is in some of the flows inside of Jira, some of the rituals that happen, and actually, sharing that. So there's two different rituals I kind of want to talk about very quickly. So one of them is regarding like sprints and when you end a sprint, what are the rituals around that? And the one I'm going to cover after is regarding releases. So when you're releasing a new version, etc. What rituals are there? What kind of pages do we need, and how can Jira and Confluence together make that easier? So to kind of start with the sprint ritual, which I guess is kind of like the essence of where Jira came from. If we take a look at a backlog and say, for example, we're ending the sprint, we're doing our sprint ritual, everything was good, let's complete the sprint. So we'll move everything that's open into a new sprint. Sure. We have this option to create a retro for the sprint. So this is something that we do internally a lot, and that it's a part of the agile process and backlogs, etc. So you can create a retro. But with this, when you complete the sprint, you can automatically create a retro for your team. With related Confluence resources. So if we click complete sprint, we're going to see where we actually want the item to live. So we're going to put it in not Phoenix, we're going to put it in demo. And then we have a couple options. So we have a page retro, and we also have a whiteboard retro. So you can create either one. We'll do a whiteboard retro for this. And if we create it and say, for example, you were sharing your screen, you're like a project lead and you're sharing your screen during this moment, you're going to see this page actually come up. So you can actually have the retro come up. You can do your retro as a part of the ritual, and you can open it in Confluence. You could share the link with your team, and then you can actually go through it here without having to actually ever leave Jira. Spend the time, those awkward few moments where you create a page live in a call. You can actually just have it kind of snappy here as a part of the ritual, do your whole ritual, and then you're all good. So that's just built in to the integration between Jira and Confluence.
Oh, I love that so much. And I don't know about any awkward moments in the Scrum process. Come on, David.
Yeah,
Also,
exactly.
shout out to Lance and Christian by Grab Thawshammer. That is a great reference to Galaxy Quest. There's a lot of good sound effects from that we could also use. But again, David's bringing the sound effects to us later. And there's a question, David. Is this Scrum focused integration? Is this available in all Confluence and Jira plans, or is this a premium feature?
Great question. So this one is just all plans. This is not a premium feature. So anywhere you're gonna have whiteboards, anywhere you're gonna have pages, we have this feature there. So this is not like the only features that I think are premium plus and above is the ones related to AI.
Awesome. Great question, Susie. One thing to make note of is if you are using Confluence and not Confluence Premium, there is a limit of active whiteboards you can have. You can learn about those limits on our whiteboards video or check out the Confluence documentation. But otherwise, yes. And Gerald has a question on, is this available in Data Center? And the answer is no, Gerald, because there are no whiteboards. Whiteboard is not a feature in Data Center. So on that one, there is a very clear and quick no. All right, David. Show us some more. We have a few more minutes. We want to max out our hour together.
For sure, for sure. So we can end that retrospective. And I think the other area I kind of want to just quickly highlight is there's a lot of rituals and page creation related to new version releases. So we do have this view inside of Jira related specifically for development, which is called releases that a lot of customers use. And this is where you can create a release, and essentially in a release, you could say what issues are going to be in it, give a description of the release, what's going to be fixed, what new is coming out, just basically kind of outline what's in the release. You can add approvers to the release. And just kind of track the status. It shows up on other pages like the timeline and calendar view as well. So it just kind of helps track when the team is going to be releasing. So there's a couple different things I want to showcase real quick. So the first thing is we do have Smart Link support for this release view. So if you're talking with stakeholders, for example, and you're giving status updates, you can actually have the release right here and showcase all the details there. That's pretty great. But the other thing I want to showcase is when we do release a feature, and let's see if I can add any issues here. Let's add just one issue, for example. And let's add release the details, for example. If we go up here and we release it, you're going to see a little check down here, which is create release notes. So release notes is a big part of releases that you often have to do every time you release, but say we wanted to kind of automate that. So any unresolved issues, we could just ignore those, but let's release this. And then we're going to actually go through this new release note builder that we've released as part of this Confluence and Jira integrations. And we could search for a parent. You can put it anywhere you want. We'll put it in the demo, project demo, and we can create the release. You can click formatting options. You could select what kind of details about the issues you want in the release notes, and then we can create in Confluence. And it's going to spin for a second. But then we're actually going to get this release. So it's going to title it in a certain format. It's going to have the date in the title. So a lot of times people just have a folder where they have all of the release notes and they all have a very standard, format and title. But this way you can kind of just automate that process with that integration. It helps you do that. And then what we actually have in here, and there's only one issue in here, but in this one, you're going to see a list of all the issues that were actually released as a part of that release notes, and then you can add any other information. But it really just helps you quickly set up a page for the release notes for that. And then you could even share that as a public link if you wanted to actually use that publicly. But really just helps you kind of quickly do that process between Jira and Confluence.
This is such a huge thing for product teams, especially a small product team. It used to be there was this very traditional like tech writer role, and that was your whole job, was to like write this kind of documentation and other kinds of documentation. And just across the industry, we're seeing that change, right? As our teams have more access to tools like Confluence where we can collaborate, but also just people are doing more things, and we're also relying on AI and automations like this to do more for us. So the cool thing with this page is, you could make this a public link and share it out. If you're using Jira Service Management, that can just be in your wiki that's connected there, so people can see it through the support portal. If you're using apps like K15T's Scroll Viewport app, which lets you publish Confluence content out as a website, right? You can have a full documentation website, and you have a full release sections that has content that Jira just created for you, which is pretty amazing. Love that so much.
Exactly. There is one last thing. I remember we were talking about reports before, and we didn't have support for those reports you see within a Jira project specifically. But I did want to showcase charts and gadgets from dashboards. So if we go into Jira, and if we click on the top here, dashboards, or you might see it on the side, if we open up a dashboard, what we recently added is now you can actually take an entire dashboard. And you can actually, with all these charts, you can put whatever gadgets you want inside this dashboard that is supported. Then you can take that and you can go to a Confluence page and you can paste it as a Smart Link embed. So you can actually take that entire Jira dashboard and put it into a Confluence page that in case you want to show that to stakeholders, or it's just for general tracking purposes, or it's for, status updates, etc., or, quarterly report, monthly report, etc., to management. So you could take the entire dashboard, but I think what is generally used a lot more is, say you just have this dashboard that's constantly updating. If you want to write a report and you want just a specific gadget or a specific chart inside the dashboard, you can actually just copy specific ones as well, and then you can get the view of just a specific one. You can move it around, resize it, so you can really write powerful reports by taking that kind of live information that updates from the dashboard and actually putting it inside a Confluence. So another great way.
Which is just so excellent, because in the past, there were great widgets, there were great macros, there were great smart links. Yeah. We can just put them all on a page, which is so great, especially if you do like a weekly blog post or, a blog post each sprint to report to stakeholders. This is such a great way to use this. A great point from Christian in the chat about the release notes. The release notes are only going to be as good as the information in Jira. So yeah, you do want all your stakeholders to put their content in Jira so that those release notes are good. That's not a tool problem, that's a process problem. And a lot of our teams face that, right? So that's a great point, Christian. It's point. Even with AI, it's not gonna be able to make up for the fact that we're not, putting all the information in the Jira issue. So do that, people. Very important. We had one quick question, David, which is, can you use Jira with databases? And I didn't know if you were prepared to answer that, but I could quickly if that helps you.
Great question. I could let you answer that, but I do know we can actually link Jira issues inside of databases. You can see all the different fields there, but feel free to take it away. I know you had a chat with the databases PM, so happy to chat about it.
Christina is fantastic. I will just quickly show this example. So here I am looking at a database. This is right here in Confluence. And yeah, I have added some Jira issues right here. I can hover over those and see details on the Jira issue. So I'm looking at a few different Jira pieces of information from Jira fields. So I've added the Jira description and the Jira status. So this is one thing that you can do, is sort of view content from Jira issues in the database. The other option that you have, I'm not creating the database right now, but typically when you're creating a new database, there's an option in the top right to create or populate the database with information from Jira issues, and you can search for the Jira issues you want to use using some JQL, and then it will insert that information into the database. One thing to know about that is right now, this is a live display of what's in Jira. I can't update what's in Jira, but I can display it. So if somebody changes, like updates that Jira description, it will show the new description here in the database. If I use that other feature to import Jira issues into a database, it's not a synced bit of information. It's just bringing it over once, and then it's static information. It won't update from Jira. You can take a look at our live stream with Christina. The team knows that y'all might want a bit more, and they are continuing to focus on how to improve that specific integration. But yes, you can use Jira and databases together, and more to come in the future. David, I'm sad to say we've run out of time. This has been really phenomenal. Thank you so much for showing us how to use Jira and Confluence well together. And I know that the team is looking at more ways to integrate Confluence and Jira. I know also the team is excited to work on more ways to integrate Confluence and Loom, which I am particularly excited about. So we're very anxious to see what the team has coming out next, and we can't wait. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great time.
It was fantastic. After this, like maybe go get yourself a snack. I think you've earned it. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, David. Thank you all in the audience for joining us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't. Subscribe to our weekly Confluence newsletter where we have all sorts of great content, and click that link to go to the Atlassian community, share what you've learned today, and earn a badge that no one will ever be able to earn ever again. At least that's my understanding. Go show the community what you've learned, share your knowledge, get a badge. Thank you so much for joining us. Check out our other videos and content as we continue to explore how to use Confluence to share what you do best. Bye.